Mountain biking is the perfect mix of excitement, fitness, skills and competition. So whether you want to shed some pounds, immerse yourself in the competitive action mountain bike can offer, or just enjoy the great outdoors, stay tuned and we'll get you started. The beauty of mountain biking is you can take one pretty much anywhere you like. So regardless of where you live, a mountain bike will get you out on two wheels. However, to get the most out of the sport, you'll need to wave goodbye to the tarmac and head off-road. The type of riding you're doing will dictate the choice of location and the type of bike you ride. More risk-averse riders will probably gravitate towards fire roads or gravel paths, while the adventurers will want to seek out trail centres and bike parks. If you aren't familiar with trail centres and bike parks, they are effectively areas of hillside with designated bike-specific trails. Many feature coloured graded runs, so there's something for everybody. And some even offer a bus service to take you and your bike back to the top of the hill. Many of these dedicated ride spots will have an on-site bike shop, rental centre, bike wash and cafe. The beauty of trail centres is the vast array of terrain that can be ridden. Many will feature cross-country, trail and downhill routes, but more on the types of riding later. There are multiple websites detailing a wealth of information on where to ride, so the best place to start is with a spot of Googling. The local governing bodies like British Cycling and USA Cycling will also be able to point you in the right direction. Check out the video description for some links. It's possible to ride a mountain bike pretty much anywhere, but that doesn't mean it's strictly legal to do so. Trail access depends on who owns the land and the rules that govern public rights of way in your country. The consequences of ignoring either can range from angry fist waving to getting arrested and charged with trespassing. Mountain biking comes in different forms, and you really need to bear these in mind when you're buying your bike. There are many different niches and sub-niches of mountain biking, but they can be generally categorized as three forms: cross-country, trail, and downhill. In its simplest form, cross-country riding, or XC, is just getting on your bike and going for a ride in the local woods. The terrain can range from flat woodland to constructed courses used for Olympic racing. XC is by far the most accessible form of mountain biking and usually has as much focus on the climbs as the descents. Trail riding, sometimes known as Enduro, is a slightly more aggressive form of mountain biking. Dedicated trail centres offer more man-made features, including drops and berms, but are usually pretty easy to ride at your own pace. Trail riding usually requires riders to pedal up the hills. So bikes are designed to be able to climb, but the main focus is definitely descending. Think of trail as enduring the climbs to enjoy the descents. Downhill, or DH, is purely focused on riding with the flow of gravity. Bikes are designed for one purpose, so attempting to ride one up a hill may end badly. Downhill terrain is some of the most challenging, and you'll often find large jumps and drops, along with natural and man-made technical sections. Unless you have a penchant for high speed and regular crashes, it's probably best to avoid downhill as a beginner. Think of downhill as a 100% focus on going down with a need for a bus or a chairlift to get back up. Many trail centres cater for all three of these disciplines, with green and blue trails orientated more to XC, red for trail riders and black reserved for full-on downhill aggression. The most common type of mountain bike is the classic hardtail. So called because the frame has no rear wheel suspension. These days, most will be fitted with a front suspension fork. And as long as your budget is more than a few £100s, you're likely to be using disc brakes to do the stopping. Hardtails are extremely versatile, and entry-level models can be used for commuting and light off-road use, including gravel roads and trails. While more specific lightweight models are used for XC racing like you'll see at the Olympics. High-end models can cost as much, if not more, than a full suspension bike. But those are usually designed specifically for racing and have low weights that almost rival some road bikes. A full suspension mountain bike has a dedicated frame that offers rear as well as front suspension. Full sus bikes are more expensive to produce, so if you have a limited budget, a hardtail will offer more for your money. In fact, unless you're willing to spend around £1,000, a lighter, higher spec, low maintenance hardtail might be a better buy. Suspension travel will range from 80mm up to 200mm, and more is not necessarily better. The amount of suspension travel usually represents the design purpose of the bike. An XC bike will typically have 80 to 120 millimeters of travel, while trail or enduro bikes have 120 to 160 millimeters. Bigger all-mountain bikes feature 160 through to 200 millimeters of travel. If the last time you rode a mountain bike was during your childhood, it might be worth noting that the bike industry has spent the last few years reinventing the wheel. Back in the day, all off-road bikes had wheels with a 26-inch diameter. But these days, you'd struggle to buy a bike without having to consider whether you want a 29er, a bike with 29-inch wheels, or the latest size known as 650B, or 27.5, due to their 27.5-ish inch diameter rims. There are exceptions, but most riders agree that 29ers are more suited to XC-style riding, whereas 650B is thought to be better for gravity-led disciplines. Sadly, picking up a bike doesn't mean you're ready to ride. As a bare minimum, we'd recommend a helmet, glasses, and gloves. You can wear regular sports clothing, but getting it wet will be memorable for all the wrong reasons. A good pair of baggy shorts with a built-in liner are a great investment, as are a jacket, jersey, and base layer, especially for non-summer use. Dedicated clipless shoes that attach to the pedals are optional, but will offer better power transfer and more control if you can get your head around the idea. For shorter rides, it might not be necessary to carry extra food and water. But if you're going to spend any time on a hillside, being prepared is crucial. A good multi-tool is important to have, as is a spare inner tube and a pump to blow it up. Spare chain connector pins and cable ties are also great to have in case of an emergency. A cycle-specific backpack is great for carrying food and a drink, as well as your tools and spares. Getting the most for your money is important to everybody. And the more you save, the more you'll have left over to spend on kit or upgrades. Bike brands restrict shop discounts on newly released bikes, but there are a few ways around this. Previous year's models are a good place to start. If you're happy riding last year's model, you can often find old stock discounted up to 30%. Shops often run discounts and promotions around public holidays, so keep an eye out for a deal, especially if you're buying online. If in doubt, the best way to buy is to walk in a shop and try haggling. They may not be in a position to give you money off the bike, but they can usually throw in some pedals or a pair of shorts to rival their online foes. At full retail value, you should be able to buy a decent hardtail for around £500. This is about the minimum we'd recommend spending if you actually want to take the bike off-road, without it falling apart. For a full suspension bike, you should be looking at spending £1,000 or more, and we'd strongly advise against a full suspension bike under £500. Generally speaking, spending more will get you a lighter bike that's more resilient and features marginally better suspension, braking and drivetrain performance. There's loads you can learn about mountain biking, more than we can fit in here. So make sure you check out BikeRadar.com or pick up a copy of MBUK or What Mountain Bike magazine. Both are available for Android or iOS, and you'll find links in the video description. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the rest of the channel. Let us know what you want more of on your Bike Radar in the comment section below.